you haven't turned in your paperwork in about 2 or 3 weeks. And I said, no. Why not? And I said, well, I have a 20-hour-a-week assistantship, and right now you've only allotted me 1 hour outside the classroom to do paperwork, and I cannot do the volume of paperwork that you asked me to do in 1 hour. And she said, well, Brad, you know, sometimes we have to do work at home. Now, this was a single undergraduate student who had no spouse, no children. She worked 80 to 100 hours a week and wanted everybody else to do that too. Well, you know, Brad, sometimes we have to do work at home. And I said, I do work at home. And she said, really? What do you do at home? And I said, I raise my children. Now, let's work this out. I left a good job, a good salary, a tastefully appointed office, and 2 secretaries at my disposal to come back to school to prepare for the rest of my career. I'm taking a double full-time course load in that building next door. My main priority here is to get the education I came here to get. I have a signed contract for 20 hours a week. I will work my tail off for 20 hours at this job. Not 1945 and not 2015. 20. You decide how you want me to spend the time, and I will do it with aplomb. The next week, I had 2 hours of prep time outside the classroom and started getting all my paperwork done. Now, be careful. Be respectful. I promise you this, there will come a time in your life when someone rooted in their scars will ask you to sacrifice your relationship with God and sacrifice your relationship with family on the altar of their idolatry to their job. You will have a choice to make. I learned from the scars of a mother who was abused and told me that when I was an adult, and I heard her horrific story. I learned that from a father whose father died right before he was born, and he grew up without a father. I learned from their desire for family, and I'm going to build on that. Now, we don't have a perfect family, but let me tell you the payoff. We have far from a perfect family because they have far from a perfect husband and father. But here's what I see as the payoff. Back in the fall, I took Dylan for a walk around campus. And I said, because of the economy and things are just really rough. And I said, hon, we need to be mentally prepared for the fact that Carson Newman's, there's tough times ahead. And Dylan said, Daddy, are you telling me we're going to have to move? And I said, 75% chance. And she went, okay. Let's go into Susical practice. On January 5th, we went for a walk. And we sat on the concrete steps going out toward the Bly Poteet building. I had them sit down. And I said, gang, the sun was setting. And I said, the sun is setting on our time at Carson Newman. But what's going to happen tomorrow? And John Clark said, my 10-year-old said, sun's going to come up again. And I said, where? And he said, over there. I said, that's right. The sun's going to come up somewhere else. Now, we're pretty frugal people, kids. We have a modest house. We don't get a new car every 3 years. We drive the wheels off of them. But we may have to be even more frugal. We may have to give up Netflix. We may have to give up cell phones. I don't know. Now, I've messed up as a father a lot, but I really think that that hour and a half that I spent being very intentional and jealously guarding my family, I think it had this payoff. In that moment, my kids didn't go, "What? No cell phones, no Netflix, ah!" My 10-year-old son raised his hand, and I said, "Yeah, buddy." And he said, "Dad, I don't have to buy those magnets. Will it help if I give you my $5? Yeah, buddy. That helps.
In the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world, but give me Jesus.
Since I have been scarred, oh, since I have been scarred, oh, since I have been scarred, give me Jesus, give me Jesus, give me Jesus. And you may have all this world, give me Jesus. Oh, and when we meet the scarred, oh, when we meet the scarred, oh, when we meet the scarred, give them Jesus. Give them Jesus, give them Jesus, and they may want all this world, but give them Jesus. As God sent Christ, Christ sends us. So take your scars and be agents of Christ's peace this morning.